The @Ergo platform Twitter account has finally been deleted. This has been an ongoing saga since Charles Hoskinson from Cardano had gifted the Ethereum Classic Twitter account to the Ergo Foundation, and it was repurposed for Ergo. This has been something I have been against from the very get-go because it gives a false kind of perception to potential Ergo investors of how popular Ergo actually is. For a catch up, this account had 600,000 Twitter followers as opposed to the original Ergo account, which is now named Sigma Knots, and we'll be covering a little bit of changes and potential votes for that here in just a second as well, which only had 60,000 Twitter followers, meaning that it appeared to potential investors to be 10 times as popular of a cryptocurrency as it actually was. But there is, as always, a lot more to the story, so let's get into it. On October 5th, I noticed that the Ergo platform Twitter had been deleted. You can see here that my screenshot showed originally that there were 637.7 thousand followers on this particular account. Upon further research, of course, almost enough, Steve M. Alexander, Twitter had notified me that this change had taken place. Now, this change wasn't enabled or enacted because of some reverse position by either Armenio or CW or any of the devs or community members over at Ergo that, this was wrong to do to the Ethereum Classic community, which is one of the arguments the Ethereum Classic side has of this, of course. But as opposed to that, it was decided because this particular account, once run through analytics, was showing to have a very hefty amount of bought or purchased followers or bot accounts following this particular account. Now, this is not uncommon within the Twitter sphere and crypto Twitter in particular, because anything that you can make appear better than it actually is has a better chance at, of course, getting more people to invest in said cryptocurrency, etc. So basically what was decided was to go ahead and delete that account due to not the issue between Ethereum Classic community and Ergo community, but because of the actual bots on the account. Now, from my perspective in general, I'm okay with this because my primary argument was that this particular account gave a false perception to potential investors in Ergo. So I'm all good there, but that doesn't mean that everybody is happy with this, because remember, we still have the Ethereum Classic side of the argument, which is this was taken from Ethereum Classic. Now, there is a huge thread, which I'll leave with you guys, from Almost Enough and Bob Somerville over on Twitter covering this. And essentially the account has been deleted. It was not handed back over to the Ethereum Classic community. As opposed to that, of course, now the Twitter account is completely gone. Originally, some of the arguments that popped up is that there were a bunch of missing historical tweets from Ethereum Classic. But luckily what we have found is that the history has been given back by Armenio to the Ethereum Classic Foundation, so they can go ahead and have an archive of all of the previous tweets that were made when the actual account was Ethereum Classic. This won't be recovered onto a Twitter account, to my best knowledge at this point. That isn't something that's possible. And there is, of course, the question of what will happen to the Ergo platform Twitter account as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this sufficient enough of a kind of act by the Ergo community? Do you think that they should have maybe given it back to Ethereum Classic in general? What are your opinions on the bot count? All of that sort of thing. Like I said, this is sufficient for me to say, okay, now I feel better about being like, well, here's the information for the Ergo Twitter, and here's where you can follow them on this platform, etc., without feeling like I am kind of maybe masking the actual popularity of Ergo to potential investors. So I feel better about talking about Ergo in general on the channel again, and I will be covering updates in the future and be a little bit more plugged into exactly what everything is going on there. Now, if we take a look at the developer update, I will say I was a little bit disappointed in this particular video. It was very sarcastic, kind of demeaning in a lot of ways, you know, talking down, not acknowledging, you know, that what the real issue here was. It was definitely kind of a play around, tiptoe around the actual problem, and the reasoning for all of this in their entire, you can see I watched the entire Twitter portion of this. I'll watch the rest later as I normally do. It felt very disingenuous, and I didn't like it. I will say that. I think that it could have been addressed a lot more professionally. And that is primarily due to the fact that all it was, hey, we got rid of this because there were a bunch of bots on the account after I ran it through analytics. So I decided to delete it. That's pretty much what it is. With a lot of like awkward giggling and laughing. You know, that kind of weird, like, I know that I shouldn't have been doing this or this was wrong laugh when people are chatting. That's kind of what it felt like. It felt like that awkward, like, I've been lying to you giggle for a lot of it. But I'm going to let that go. I'm just saying I didn't really like feel like it was done or acknowledged for what the impact it had on the crypto community as a whole. Because you got to remember, this really had a negative impact on the relationship between the Ethereum Classic community and the Ergo community, which at one point were pretty tight knit. They were together, right? And that kind of broke that apart. Of course, the bear market doesn't help with that either. Now, finally, there is going to be a decision on what happens between the Sigmanauts, which was the old Ergo platform Twitter, and the Ergo platform Twitter handle, and how that's going to be, well, handled, pun intended. And I'll leave a link down to this in the comment or the description below, but the choices are to keep the Sigmanauts handle or to migrate it over to the Ergo platform handle. There are 4 different choices which you can go over in this particular Twitter thread, and then as far as I understand, these votes will be done by the Sigmanauts, but you can have your opinions come into light via their chats and comments, etc. Discord, all those links will be down below. Right now, it does look like the version 1, which is going to be the yes, and basically moving the Sigmanauts to a new account and taking the Ergo platform Twitter handle and placing it back into the Sigmanauts account, which is this one right here, which made the post, is the winning vote. As you can see here, the number of transactions so far is 8. And then we have 0 transactions for no, which would leave Sigmanauts as the original. If you want this to change, or if you think this should be different, you can go ahead and make it. I'm of no opinion here. I think for, you know, the reduction of broken links and etc., all that sort of stuff, I think putting at Ergo platform back would be the best decision for the community as a whole, and putting it on that account. So I guess I would say yes, but you know, I think either way it really doesn't matter at this point. Taking a look at, you know, Ergo health in general on the blockchain. Today's a little bit of a red day, so it's going to be a little hard to analyze this, but you can see pretty much on the 8th here, we had a little bit of a pump up in the price of Ergo, then it came back down. It's starting to recover. You know, on the 5th, when the announcement was made, there was pretty much no change. So this didn't impact price necessarily at all. If we look at hash rate over time, hash rates really remained pretty consistent with a little bit of a dip off on October 8th, probably just due to the fact that the price was dipping down. And you can see here a corresponding dip in the difficulty as well, but that can change over time. If you are interested in mining Ergo, of course, you can go over to hashrate.com .no. Click the coins button here. We can go down to Ergo in general, and then we can go ahead and look at the benchmarks to find the most efficient GPUs. The 4070 Ti coming in first, with the 3070 laptop coming in second, and then performing quite well on the 40 series, and then kind of dipping down. Still a very strong contender for the RTX 3070, which is obviously very good for a majority of the crypto mining community, because the 3070 has been performing quite poorly in, a lot of the newer algorithms compared to like the 60 or the 6000 series from AMD. So this is an option, outside of something like Conflux, that you could mine and is really efficient on 3070s, which are still, according to Hivon statistics, some of the most used GPUs in the crypto mining farms here. You can see taking up 13% of the entire NVIDIA models. But if you compare that also to the fact that that is 70%, or NVIDIA is 70% of the brands for, essentially mining, that is quite a bit of a large portion of the entire market still being 3070s, which, like I said, if you look at something like Dynex, for example, which has been one of the most profitable, if we pop over to there and boom, right here, and we pop over to the benchmarks, the 3070 isn't coming in near as high. I think the 3070 laptop is okay, but if you get down here, I believe it falls a lot further down than I thought, even below the 3080 12 gigabyte at 56 hash per watt. So not near as good as it is from an efficiency perspective on something like Ergo. We'll have to see how it looks on Ironfish as well, with the new algorithm change for the RTX 3070 in general. Just to make a note there, it does look like the developer of that particular algorithm from LOL Miner is very heavily focused on the RTX 3070. So I would keep an eye out on its performance over there from an efficiency standpoint. Let me know what you guys think of how Ergo handled this Twitter account in general down in the comment section below. For me personally, I'm going to leave it here. I'm not going to talk about it anymore unless something significant changes. If it does, you can always hit me up on Twitter at @SonOfATech and let me know if there's something I should be paying attention to. But I'm back in the game for Ergo. I'll probably be throwing, my Intel cards on there in particular. I really like the A750s on the Ergo algorithm for sure. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bells down below. Don't forget to check out Locals at sonofatech.locals.com for my daily moves, and you can get a free supporter status month with the purchase of my e-course at sonofatech.com. I will see you next Tuesday.